Hey, welcome back to Bridal Sewing Techniques, and today we're going to talk about how to reduce the shoulders on a lace gown. And you know me, I'm not going to leave you hanging. I'm going to talk about two different ways to reduce the shoulders. The right way that's a little more involved, and then a fast way that can save your brides a lot of money. Are you someone who has experience with a mix of sewing but is looking to get into the bridal niche? This channel is for you. Man, oh man, have I seen this dress quite a few times over the past couple of years. And it has a consistent issue with the way that the shoulders were originally drawn in the original pattern of this dress. The shoulders are just too big for almost all of my brides. Imagine their disappointment when they pay a pretty penny for this very popular gown, and then when they find out that they have some very expensive alterations that need to be done for them to look good on their wedding day. It's really kind of sad, but I'm sure you've come across this gown too because it's so popular. Let's go ahead and find out how to fix it. Let's first talk about what's traditionally considered the correct way to fix a gown that has lace over the seams. First of all, you would peel the lace back, and I do have videos about this, and I will link to them in the description. Then you take up the gown at the seams, and then after you get it to fit right, you put the lace back over the seams. So it's the same concept for the shoulders on a gown that has lace covering the seams. You start with the lace over the seams, you pin it so you know how much you need to take up each seam. You would completely remove the lace from the seams so that you can work it, and you can either adjust the seams as they are connected, or if there's a lot of adjustment to be done, as in the case of this gown commonly, you would have to take them apart at the seams and take up the seam of the sleeve at the underarm, take up the shoulders, and then reattach them. We would never traditionally have a seam going down the top of the sleeve. We would take it up at the underarm and then recover it in lace. Now I'm going to show you this shortcut way. You can see the pins where I've marked how much this needs to be taken up. But what I want to show you is a way it's really been a lifesaver for my brides, because you can imagine how expensive it would be to remove all of this lace on these gowns. So the idea is here that they, for the most part, are tolerating having a seam at the top of the shoulder just fine. But as I said, nobody wants a seam going down the top of their sleeve, really. So luckily we have this lace here that would hide that. So instead of having to take away all of the lace, which is very thoroughly sewn down on this particular gown and all the gowns that I have that are this style number, but instead of having to remove all the lace, we're just going to remove from the back side of the sleeve all the way to the midline of that lace running down the sleeve. We're going to remove all of that lace and just kind of leave it hanging on the front for us to work. And then you're going to find that you can actually take this dress up a pretty quick way. Now, when I'm talking about timetables, let me say to reduce the shoulders and the sleeve side on this dress the correct way to kind of, bust it apart, take all that lace off, take it up, put the lace back down. I would say that's going to take at least 3.5 hours, maybe 4 hours to do, because the lace is sewn down so thoroughly. Now, this shortcut way actually only takes maybe an hour. So you're saving that much time and money for your bride. The other good thing about this, and I'll show you this to you in a little bit, is that if she doesn't like the seam on the shoulder, this is reversible. All right, so that's how much of the lace I've peeled back. So we don't have to completely remove it with this method. Now I've turned the dress wrong side out. This is the top of the shoulder. And I'm just going to go ahead and sew right through the lace and put a seam through that lace. Again, I will say for the purists out there, this is not the correct way. I am showing you this as a way to really just save the bride's wedding budget here. This dress, the alterations bill has been a huge disappointment to many brides. But so far, anyone that I have done this money-saving alteration for, they have all been happy, and they have found it to be relatively unnoticeable from the outside as a shortcut. So what I'm going to do, this is very unconventional. I'm just going to zip right over the top of that seam, right where my presser foot is right now, just to orient you. That's the top of the shoulder where it meets the top of the sleeve. I'm just zipping right through it, and I'm tapering down the top of the shoulder is where I'm at right now. All right. And you can see that I did not run through any of the lace on the sleeve. That would be quite noticeable and would not be tolerated by just about any bride. So you can see the seam at the top of the shoulder is not very noticeable. Obviously, we have some fancy footwork that needs to be done around the neckline so that that lace will be nice, but that won't be difficult compared to the whole 4 inches. All right, now I'm gesturing with my hand. I'm kind of making it shaped like a shoulder would be, and I'm showing you how we would use that flap of lace. Now, this is another money-saving way for the side seam. I'm just going to kind of throw that little bonus in for you. I'm starting right at the armpit of the dress. I've got the dress turned wrong side out completely. I'm not between the layers. I'm on the inside of the dress where it would touch her skin when she has it on. I'm just going to zip down the sides. I'm going to make sure that the skirt is stacked perfectly and smoothly so that I'm going to zip over the waist seam. And I'm going to come down the side seam where the hip is, and I'm just going to quickly taper right out and only use a couple inches to do so. The reason why I can get by with this on this gown is, number one, taking it apart is a lot of work. I'm also going to link down below in the item description how to take up the sheer back, the lace back gowns. I have a video on that, how to do it the correct way, okay? But this way is going to save her a lot of money on that side seam. And you'll see in a minute, all it's going to take is a patch of lace where that junction is between the bodice and the skirt, where that seam kind of tapers out. You're going to want to cover that with a little bit of lace. And with this dress, the lace does overlay the bodice where the waist meets the skirt. So it looks just fine. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do the other sleeve real quick. And here's some sketches for you sketch lovers, just to clarify what I'm doing. I'm temporarily removing the lace that's on the sleeve. And then up there at the shoulder, we're going to leave all of that lace and try sewing through it first. The good thing about this is, number one, it's reversible if she does not like the seam. You can just pick that seam out and then do it the right way. The second thing is, the bride may not mind the seam at all. And for most brides, when they see the price difference, she can easily save, a couple $100s on this. Most brides, like I've said, they have not minded it at all. So here's the sketch of what I did. Again, it's almost like a dart at the top of the sleeve. I'm tapering this out. And normally you would be taking this up at the seam at the underarm. I am really not trying to overdo you guys on this. I just want to be super clear. Since this is so unconventional, I want to draw the line between what's the traditional correct way and what's the fast way to save the bride some money. So this teal line is showing where the new seam is going to be in the shoulder. The pink line is showing the seam that's actually going to be hidden under the lace after we sew the lace back down. Now let's look at it in the real world. This is that part that I was saying is not going to be tolerated without a patch of lace over it. No big deal. And then also you're going to want to roll that tab forward so that the tab does not show through the lace. And here's a little sketch of what I'm talking about. We've got that little bit of a pucker where it tapers out, and you're just going to put a little bit of that lace over it. You will have some places that you're going to have extra lace left over because of how much we have to take up these shoulders. Now, this is it on the bride. You can see how well this is covered. The seam is covered very, very nicely. And you can make the seam go away if she doesn't want any little peekaboos of the seam through the lace. This is just pinned down You can cut that seam allowance out and cover any of the remaining visible seam under there with a little bit of lace. It's really nice. They mixed some Venice lace in here, so it's super easy to match up. And here is the back. You can see that the dress really did take up quite neatly for being something where we took up the waist literally within 5 minutes instead of spending many, many hours. So this is the before and after of the shoulders. I hope that this has helped you and has helped your brides. Coming right up is my channel trailer if you haven't joined us before. Welcome aboard. I know what you're looking for. You've been sewing for years, but you want to get into full-time bridal sewing. But there's something missing. You're missing the backroom secrets, the industry tips and tricks. The tools, the sources, the techniques that give you the speed and the accuracy that the industry demands. You have found it.